In this video, I wanted to compare the Toy Story and Shrek franchises. Toy Story's from Pixar, Shrek is from DreamWorks. I've seen all four Toy Story films plus Lightyear. I have seen every Shrek and Puss in Boots movie. However, I have not rewatched Shrek the Third anytime recently, so I can't recall when it is I watched it last. It was years ago. I saw Puss in Boots Last Wish for the first time not that long ago. I haven't yet rewatched it. I don't recall rewatching the first Puss in Boots. I know I've seen Shrek 1, 2, and 4 multiple times. I saw Toy Story 4 in theaters. I don't recall rewatching it since seeing it then. I know for sure that I have rewatched the first three Toy Story films. When it comes to Lightyear, I saw that one in theaters. I have not rewatched it since. Now, I think it's very obvious that Toy Story has just been more consistent than Shrek. I mean, you look at the main four Toy Story films, they all have gotten great reviews. Okay, yes, when you look at Toy Story 4, it's more divisive. If you actually listen to the conversations people are having about that movie, it certainly split people. Some really enjoyed it, others not so much. I fall on the side of enjoying Toy Story 4. Okay, I don't like that Buzz Lightyear feels dumbed down in this movie. Now suddenly he really cares about that voice. He feels stupider than he was in the previous movies. And admittedly, aside from Woody, the other toys like Rex or Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, Jessie, they certainly feel sidelined. But I think Toy Story 4 introduces interesting new characters. I know the big thing that people are split on is the ending, because some people think that Woody was way out of character. He would never do that. It undermines the ending of Toy Story 3. I don't personally agree with that. To me, it feels like it makes sense, because we see at the beginning of Toy Story 4 that Woody doesn't have the same relationship with Bonnie that he had with Andy. He and Andy were really close. He and Bonnie, not so much. Plus, I like that Woody meets Bo Peep again for the first time in years. At the end of Toy Story 4, it seems like Woody is going to go back to Buzz and the rest of them, but I think Buzz could see that even though Woody was just about to leave Bo Peep, he really didn't want to leave Bo Peep again. I like how Toy Story 4 sets up at the beginning that Woody didn't like they had to say goodbye to Bo Peep. That was hard for him. So he gets to the end of the movie, it's like he doesn't want to be separated from Bo Peep again. He doesn't have that close of a relationship with Bonnie. And I like how Toy Story 4 is exploring this idea that as you move through different phases of life, your relationship with the people around you will change. Not because you have ill will against them or like you're abandoning them, but because things change as you move throughout life. I think especially adults can very much resonate with that. I think Toy Story 4 is great animation. I like the story being told. I like how Gabby at first just seems like the obvious villain, and then later on you find out more about what she's gone through. You feel sympathy for the character, and by the end she actually gets a happy ending, which is very heartwarming. Gabby actually finds a girl that wants her. It's like, oh, that's so sweet. Plus Woody, Bo Peep, everyone else actually helps Gabby by the end to find a new human. They no longer actually have ill will against her. When Woody finally does give Gabby the voice box, he does it willingly, not because she forced him to, or they took the voice box from him against his will. When it comes to the Shrek franchise, I really like Shrek 1 and 2. And Shrek Forever After is good, though not as good as Shrek 1 and 2. Not a fan of Shrek the Third. It's just not as funny, it's not as witty, the story characters are not as compelling as they were before. I think the first Puss in Boots movie is good, though not fantastic. Puss in Boots The Last Wish, fantastic. The animation is very interesting. It stands out. The story is compelling. You're invested in the journey that Puss is on. The villain is actually very intimidating. There's solid humor in there, good action. So I think that's one of the best animated films to come out in recent years. But I think it's just very obvious that even when you take Lightyear into account, Toy Story is, well, just a more consistent franchise. When it comes to Lightyear, I enjoyed it enough when I saw it in theaters, but then when I thought about the movie afterwards, I have grown to like it less Not that I think it's a bad movie or that it's a disaster or misfire. No, I don't think anything like that. But I think it's a disappointing movie that wasn't as good as it should have been. I mean, the central premise is very interesting. Doing this movie that's a movie within the Toy Story universe is interesting. It pops immediately. But I also think they wasted the premise by having the movie not at all feel like a movie that would make Andy want a Buzz Lightyear action figure. You don't watch Lightyear and think, this is gonna make a kid fall in love with Buzz, because it's not a fun space adventure. It's actually a more somber, introspective movie that's more of a deconstruction of Buzz than a celebration of Buzz. This also feeds into a larger pattern that I'm not a fan of. Disney deconstructing all my childhood heroes. I want heroes to be heroes. So I don't think Lightyear is a misfire, but am I that interested in rewatching it? No, I'm not. But I think Lightyear is obviously better than Shrek the Third. I think hardly anyone is going to say that Lightyear is worse than Shrek the Third. So I really like some Shrek movies, but it just seems very obvious to me there are more ups and downs. So I easily prefer Toy Story. I'll wrap things up for this one.